The rest of the day slips away in a blur. Despite my best efforts in keeping this morning's events from surfacing in my mind, it sticks. In a way, everything today simply feels like a reminder. Every conversation, regardless of how casual. Every topic, no matter how mundane it seems. I blame the news entirely for this. Recent happenings brought quite a few interesting stories to everyone's attention, mostly superstitious talk of death. And when locals talk about death here, anyone can sure as hell count on someone bringing up that mansion. Someone bringing up that mansion Isabella sold not a few weeks ago. Even my own students won't stop yapping about it. I think it's even worse than when it was put back up on the market. Now there are more stories. If this is the world reminding me of what matters, or simply because the atmosphere around this time of year calls for it, I'd rather take the latter. At least then I can be sure people will forget about it in favor of another set of holidays after. Nevertheless, and this may be a painful thing to admit, but listening to them is a pleasant distraction while waiting for Ashton's call. I hope he didn't forget. The school day's about to end soon.
No, that's got nothing with what I heard.
Good grief, that was loud.
You always hear stuff. I'm not sure if half of them's even real.
No, really. Rowan knows about it. He used to be in the same class with them.
I can hear you from back here, you know.
Oh, there's the mysterious Rowan.
Whatever, Rowan. Anyway, the story goes like this. There were 3 of them. They entered the mansion on a dare, and they were all never seen again.
It's because they died.
No one knows what happened to them. Up to this day.
I know. And so does Marianne. They got killed by a ghost lady.
Scary shit, man.
Scary shit.
Cock and bull story. Calling it now.
No, you don't get it. Why don't you ask Miss Gales then? Better yet, why don't you go inside the place? I'm betting my allowance you can't do it.
Don't do it. Their talk immediately halts when I look up, all of them suddenly pretending to be engrossed in their current activity. Still, a word to put a stopper to this nonsense is needed. Creativity and imagination fostered by these stories is one thing, but reckless ideas should be corrected before anything potentially tragic comes from it.
Back to your worksheets, everyone. And I don't want to hear any talk of dares or going inside that mansion. It's private property now.
Yeah.
You'd all better stay away from it before...
At the noise, a whole lot of them goes silent. You can almost hear a pin drop. The look on their faces would have made for a funny picture, but that's irrelevant at the moment. If that is a student loitering around, someone's going to be in trouble.
I'll be back. If you're done, you can leave your worksheets on my desk.
It's the ghost.
Keep the noise to a minimum while I'm gone, okay?
I can sense their eyes on me as I walk out the door. A muted kind of anticipation. A bit unnerving, but it's far more agreeable than the feeling of being watched I've been enduring these past few days. From that flu. Class is still in session for most of the rooms. The running... What does that say? M-A-U-A-N-G? The running Mwang? He's got so many hearts. Who's the running Mwang? In a few hours, once the final bell rings, however, this place will once again be filled with busy chatter and footfalls, an everyday cycle in itself. But for the moment, I let the silence guide me, my ears focusing on whatever sounds there are or there will be, searching for that distinct clanging of metal. A good minute passes, and for the portion of it, only my steps echo through the halls. And another. I'm about to turn around when... The sound of it halts my footsteps. It's a little muffled and infrequent, but grows louder after each interval. With the hallway devoid of people, if I don't put a stop to it soon, it'll start to disturb the other classes still going on. But question why the other classes do not hear it. Although your students heard it, so... Looking for it doesn't take long. All I do is follow the racket, and shortly I'm standing in front of a nondescript row of unoccupied lockers. Unoccupied. And from inside one of them, sitting in the middle, comes the noise. Annoyingly disruptive now that I'm facing it. Like someone's pounding on the metal door from the inside, hoping to get out. Leaning forward, I try to get a glimpse through the horizontal slats of whatever's causing it. But in this light, only darkness greets me and another round of clanging. Wouldn't you call out me like, hello, is someone in there? Louder than the previous one. More desperate. I've heard stories before. From other schools, from a few colleagues who had to deal with it once or twice. Although, personally, I've never encountered one myself, and I can only thank the heavens I haven't yet. Encountered one what? Deal with it? What's it? I don't understand the it part. Like, someone inside? I don't understand. But
If this is another kid some other student stuffed in a locker.
with a huff, I straighten up and study it briefly with a frown. Without delay, I reach for its handle, and at once it stops. Immediately replaced by the muffled sound of a mobile phone ringing. I give the door a few raps before taking my attention away. A second. Another. Why would you not why would you... What, you think the wind is just, like, banging against the door? When nothing or no one responds, I finally avert my eyes and I pull out my mobile. I mean, great, thanks for phoning, Ash, or Ghost Lady. Ashton's voice greets me from the other end of the line, oddly cheerful in light of this morning's matters. Or maybe because I'm just expecting some grave or serious news from him. Instead, I get this.
Hey, Becca.
Well, you sound happy.
I do? My voice still sounds the same to me.
He had, like, ham and scalloped potatoes for breakfast, so it's a good day. There are only two things I know of that could be the reason for that tone. Sweets, or he's gotten a good lead in his case. From the sound of it, I'm going to assume it's the former, since lately that case is all that's running inside his head. If ever there's a third one, I've never heard of it. Yet. It can only be one of the two.
Ignore that. How's Isabella?
Drove her home a few minutes ago. I think she's sleeping now. Sorry this took a while. Z-Man gave us the puppy eyes after we tried to leave. Had some food prepared for us, apparently. We didn't have the heart to say no.
He made a ham, Ash, and scalloped potatoes with cheese.
That's all right. Is she okay now?
I'm not really sure. She didn't say anything to Zach, but she mentioned a plan to take a few days off from work. It was a passing comment before I left her, so I didn't get to ask.
Must be because of Rose's death.
Could be. It doesn't seem like it from Zach's story, though. He said she was shaking when she got there.
Shaking?
The word triggers a memory. From 3 days ago, on the way home from her little treat after she sold the mansion. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I won't lie. It scared me. The terrified look on her face, how she sounded when she suddenly screamed.
Becca? Still there?
Yeah, I just remembered something. Sorry, don't mind me.
Look, if you can talk to her, get the story out of her. That would be great. She wouldn't talk to Zach or me even when I tried.
That would be great.
Maybe she'll speak up if it's you.
I'll give it a go, but I can't promise anything, okay? You know how stubborn she can get. But thanks for letting me know about this. If you want, I can get you that ice cream thing you mentioned tonight. As thanks.
Aww.
Just as thanks for all the trouble I've caused today.
Believe me, I'd love to take you up on that offer, but I've got something on my schedule this evening. Maybe some other time?
You're sked? Does anyone say that? I got something on my skid.
Thanks a lot, Becca.
There's a short pause before he cuts the call from his end, and once again I'm alone with my thoughts. But rather than answers, all I got from it are questions. More of them, one on top of the other, as if the world isn't planning to give me a break anytime soon. But that's a problem I'll tackle later. Right now, I've got students who need to be taught follies of eavesdropping if the slightly open door and their smothered laughter from inside is an indication. Is no one gonna question why the locker stopped making noise?
All right, enough eavesdropping. All of you, back to your seats.
Is that your boyfriend, Miss Gales?
No, not this time.
None of your business.
He totally is.
A quick scuffle follows that comment. If there's a retort prepared at the tip of my tongue, I drop every pretense of letting it loose on them. There's no use arguing with teenagers sometimes, boisterous as they all are. They're still my kids, though. Rough around the edges, maybe, but still my kids. Shaking my head, I head back to my classroom with a smile, but not before taking a glance at the locker again. It hasn't made a sound since. Like, what if a kid was having a panic attack in there and passed out? That would happen to me. I would still want someone to open the dang door.
Oh, must be the wind.
In a closed school, Becca. So without another look, I leave it alone because I'm a big dummy. I didn't need to see that. Why did I need to see that? No one else was looking, it was just me. Gross. Blech. Worried about her friend's behavior, Rebecca informed Ashton about Isabella's disappearance. It turned out that she spent the night at Zachary's, and Ashton offered to pick her up. Rebecca went to school after and had a strange encounter in the hallway with one of the student lockers. Grand. All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch. It could have gone better, mind you. But with the exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun is set looks as though it's a far-off dream for now. At least until they're over. Then we have the holidays to look forward to. There really are times when you simply take what you can get for the time being.
Nothing wrong with that.
All I'm hoping for is this will continue until the whole day ends. There's still that promise I made to Ashton, and frankly, the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk to them, what makes them think she'll talk to me? It's not like there's a hierarchy, is there? Just because I can handle Isabella's childish tendencies doesn't mean I can do it all the time.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
I mean, you're her girlfriend, her neighbor. She might be... well... The thing is, you gotta not be like, Isabella, this is stupid, and actually listen to her. Nevertheless, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, if only because I'm also worried about her. And both Zachary and Ashton deem it important that somebody get the story out of her. Here's to hoping it's got nothing to do with that letter. Again. But if it is, let her talk about it, girl. I understand if she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping that story going on for more than a week is... it's bound to get tiring at one point. Like, have you ever known her, in the 5 years you've known her, to ever hold on to something like this for a week? Maybe it's important. Seriously, I merely don't want this to end in another argument. God willing, the cafe special will help smoothen things out. After all, it's always been food with her. Or money. But mostly food. You can buy food with money. I hear. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled to the brim with people. That's the reason Isabella and I rarely ever go here during the evenings. It's simply too much of a hassle when we can prepare food ourselves in the comfort of our homes, and there really isn't much reason to eat out lately. What with life going on a busy streak. No time for long lines. Better spend that doing something productive, yes?
Lucky there isn't one tonight.
Only a few people are idling around the counter. 4 of them, in fact. A woman in her 60s and a teenager busy with his phone. Both are just waiting to be served their orders. Oh no. Alright, well, time to meet this guy. Properly, maybe. The other 2, a posh-looking man and a child, who I immediately recognize as Kylie, appear to have not yet picked anything they want. For some reason, my stare lingers at the guy. Though dressed relatively well and looks harmless, I haven't seen him around these parts before. Someone new in the neighborhood, perhaps? Even so, there's something familiar in him. It feels like I've seen him somewhere before. That also begs the question of why Kylie is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so... It's both a bit worrisome and unsurprising. The blonde bloke doesn't look particularly thrilled with the company, though. I tear my eyes away from them soon enough once the guy at the counter appears, ready to take my order. That, and I'd also hate to be accused of ogling strangers.
2, evening special, takeout.
He's already punching the order before I even finish. Saying my order out loud is really more for formality's sake and made out of habit. He has known Isabella and I long enough that if we ever drop by here, he already knows it's always because I'm buying dinner for the 2 of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be a bad influence. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order, while I fish for my wallet when...
Look, you little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave?
Posh-looking man.
I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
Their parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle.
I hate how much I relate to Luke on a spiritual level. I really am uncomfortable with this.
Now, come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
No swearing in front of a small child.
What I would give for someone to buy you off my hands right now.
I can't with this guy. What? My whole attention instantly snaps back to them in their conversation. Jumping to conclusions isn't something I'm particularly fond of, especially when all I have are baseless assumptions. But you can't really trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Oh no, what are you doing, Becca? Still, I don't move. Yet. But my hand has already shifted from my wallet to the book I'm carrying. What are you planning to do with that? A hardbound textbook. Looks harmless, but if a situation calls for it, it might be a good deadly weapon. Oh no. Why don't you just go up to Kylie and say, "Hey Kylie, how are you?" And then be like, "And who are you with this evening?" And then she can just be like, "This is my Tia Luke." And then you can move on with your life instead of like, "I'm going to hit this guy across the head with my textbook." Because he's being real sus right now. Becca. Might. I haven't gotten the chance to try it anywhere so far. Today could be the day.
But you promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait, how about
Now he's a suspicious looking man.
a Bonifay pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding. I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did, and now you won't keep your promise. I want to go home. I miss my mom.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one.
Oof.
The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. And I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Oh, that's it. No hesitation. Becca, no. Well, this is one way to make an impression. In a few paces, he's within my reach, and without warning, I'm slamming the flat area of the book against his skull. I don't want to click. This is terrible. We're going to jail. We're going to prison forever for assaulting someone in public. Ow! That scream! There's a cry of pain, followed by him instantly crouching down, hands nursing the sore spot. Almost comically, if this were a different situation and the safety of a St. Goretti student isn't at stake, I'll probably feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
Miss Pink!
It's amusing how fast her expression changes from the pouty one earlier to something that of utter delight upon seeing me. But there's no time for any pleasantries, not even quick ones, because soon the man straightens and I'm readying my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time he's ready, and before I can land another one, his hand shoots up to catch my wrist in a firm hold. Oh dang! That's a fairly thick book. And the look on his face.
Bloody hell, woman! What's your problem?
Kidnapper. Oh my goodness. To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. I mean, he has every right to be. Had I been the weak-willed sort, I'd probably cower under this sharp gaze. But that simply isn't how I roll. If he thinks he can scare me and do as he pleases here, just because I'm a woman, or whatever his reasons may be, he's got another thing coming for him. So instead, I return it to him with the same intensity, with the same venom.
What's my problem? You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bowbags like you don't deserve the freedom to roam this town. What are you doing to this girl?
And why is that any of your business, pray tell?
Oh, it's my business if I make it to be. Now, release me or I'll call the police.
He should be calling the police on you.
You think that scares me, Daisy?
What is it with you and your nicknames?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh no, he's into her. Oh no. It's like, dang, she actually dared to hit my beautiful visage with a book. His grip on my hand only tightens when I attempt to shake it off. His tone may be dripping with anger and sarcasm, but the gleam in his eyes says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. Yep. Riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal space. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. The nerve of this person. The nerve of this arsehole. If he thinks I'm going to give in to his goading, please, he might as well just kiss his sorry behind. In fact, why not do the most sensible thing right now? Teach him a tough lesson. Oh boy. Alright, hit him in the junk with the book or shout for help. I'm amazed that, like, no one else has jumped into this fray at any point and been like, is there a problem here? Nobody? I'm trying to figure out, I mean, not that I'm getting these two together right now, but I am trying to get positive relationships with everybody as much as it depends on me. I can't see him being into her hitting him in the nuts with a book. But he also doesn't, like, I don't know. Like, shouting for help just seems beneath her as well. I don't know. Probably majorly overthinking this, and it doesn't matter. Let's try this, because next time I play through, I'm getting Becca and Ash together, and I feel like Ash won't mind if I hit this guy in the nuts, so let's do this and see what happens.
Let me go, you uncouth lout!
Apparently he would have rather we kicked him in the nuts. Okay. I'll remember that for next time and we can try it out.
Or else what?
I'll scream.
Oh gosh, that face change. He laughs, a derisive thing that rankles on my temper more than it has any right to. It is as if he knows I can't do anything, or he's above any authority that exists in this city, confident he can get away with anything. The gall of this man! I'd like to punch him right now if I can.
Nice try, lady. Why don't you drop the book first? You could kill people with that, you know.
Fat chance!
Oh no, that attitude won't do, Daisy. Here, let's try that again, like the proper adults we both are. Drop the bloody fucking book.
Now he's a sleazy douche.
And then what? If you're assuming I'm...
Then we'll have a nice conversation over a cuppa. Establish why you're attacking a poor, innocent stranger with a deadly weapon.
That's fair.
And maybe weave in an apology or two for the offended party afterwards. I'm the offended party here, by the way. My brain hasn't returned to its rightful place yet, in case you're wondering.
Innocent! Don't play dumb! I heard what you were trying to do with that girl. Just because she isn't my student yet doesn't mean I don't have a role in protecting that child's innocence.
Protecting the what of who? Why would you...
Now he's all confused.
Oh, no.
In the span of a second, the expression on his face changes faster than anyone is capable of. From pure confusion to sudden realization, before finally deciding on a face of utter mortification. He's quick to drop his hold on my hand afterwards like he's been holding a piping hot object and has just realized it's in his hands all along. He's far from a decent person, but he actually might make good money doing comedy. What a thought to have at a time like this. The look on his face when he starts babbling his excuses is almost priceless.
No, this kid's...
No.
All right, lady, look, it's all a misunderstanding.
My tone can't go any flatter than the one I have now.
Right. Somebody help me!
Now you scream? Now you scream. He presses a hand on my mouth before I spill the rest of it, and all at once I'm caught between trying to stop him from smothering me and keeping his dirty hands off me. But even as my nails dig deeper into his wrist, he doesn't appear to have any intention of letting me go. Kylie, could you do something since the adults are being dumb? Being loud works, however. Soon the attention of practically every customer seated in the small establishment is on us. Finally. I shoot each of them an imploring look, hoping one of them will have the sense to help. The sleaze, however, is fast enough to flash them all an embarrassed smile.
Haha! This lady's having such a bad day! Poor girl's just been through so much today!
Haha! This is totally a sincere laugh. Haha!
Nothing to see here. Go on with your dinner.
Bad day? Even if this were a friendly chat, I won't even touch you with a 10-foot pole, much less share any of my problems with you. Blighter, you're my problem. I want to blurt it out, but with a hand covering my mouth and my lungs rapidly losing air. Oh no. I should have kicked him in the nuts. This is taking so long. I bite down on his hand. Hard. It works.
Ow!
He yowls, jerks his hand away from my face. Stepping back to put as much distance as he can between us while nursing his injured hand against his chest and muttering a string of very creative set of expletives. Tears have formed at the corners of his eyes from the pain, and a small laughter almost leaves me. To be frank, he gives the impression of a kicked puppy with the glare he shoots me. A puppy I'm less inclined to feel sorry about.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you ass!
Anytime, Kylie.
Why, this is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
Harassment!
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true. You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse.
I like that he's still trying to flirt with her even after everything.
What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Yes.
Oh? You don't think a stranger luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion? You have a very funny definition of suspicious, asshole. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
The kid asked me to buy her sweets. You're the one who's suspicious here. I'll have you know, I have a wife.
What does that have to do with anything? I can't be suspicious. I'm married. Do you think anyone would marry me if I was suspicious? That much, at least, appears to have a sliver of truth to it. He even makes a show of brandishing his left hand to my face with much flourish. Luke, I can't with how extra you are. Sure enough, a wedding ring is there, though all that earned him is an unimpressed glare from me. Immediately, a small part of me starts to feel sorry for whoever, whatever, poor woman married this sod. I don't understand why he has to bring her up, either. As if the mention of her alone will magically present a solution to his problem. She must truly be a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirtbag like him.
And even my wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
Crazy woman! I would certainly hope your wife of all people would not accuse you of such a thing.
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, why are you fighting with my teal?
Oh, Kylie. If you had said this like 10 minutes ago, this would have been wonderful. But at the same time, I would have missed out on some great Luke screaming, so... Whatever words still left to be said here dies on my tongue. The same thing goes for the sleaze. Beside us stands Kylie, gawking at us with that same curious stare she often brings with her. The music change. I know that look all too well. A precocious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further. Her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with children her age, it's a sure sign they won't leave you until you've given them an answer they're satisfied with. Lying won't do either. It has dissolved into a shouting match, for heaven's sake. And did she just say Tio? Something falls straight to the pit of my stomach at that. But my tone is gentle when I finally address her, void of any apprehension and what might be the first hints of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter. It can very well be just the hunger speaking.
Kylie, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Could have done this 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, he's Tio Luke.
Right at the moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against the man beside me dissipates in a haze. Amidst all of it, one memory gets triggered. From a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one in the same. Don't you know who he is?
Now I do. I sure as hell don't, darling. Because if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I've said earlier come out of my mouth.
He's my Tio Luke. Gazillionaire extraordinaire, am I? No, the fairy godfather.
That is super cute.
Oh, he's your godfather. That's
Nice. Your uncle and your godfather.
nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Tio?
More than right, sweetheart.
He's so proud of her.
I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
I hate you. Whatever it is that landed at the bottom of my stomach prior has shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading to my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me. I can feel them, jeering, mocking. I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now. But I know. I can hear the sneer in his tone alone when he talks. He has that smug grin on him. Which I may or may not want to punch off his face at present, just for the hell of it. But damage control. I need to do some damage control before this whole thing goes south. I mean, we should apologize to him. We hit him in the head with a book. And Kylie didn't really get what was going on. And we're setting a good example as her teacher by owning up to our mistakes, so. Even though it's painful. Whoa, that jumped high. He really liked her apologizing. Though it pains me to apologize to a sleazebag like him, this is my mistake. With Kylie watching us close by, I don't want to set a bad example for her, do I? I'm surprised she grew up the child she is. If anything, I want to be the role model this man couldn't possibly become from her. Even if it means taking a few blows to my ego and stroking his insufferable one. A deep gulp of air, a short moment to swallow my self-respect, and then I'm facing him. The words are out of my mouth in a single breath.
I'm really, really sorry, sir.
The bigger person.
I had no idea.
His smirk is impossible to miss. He's not making an effort to hide it, and even the smile is so irritatingly present in his tone. If I could slap it off him, I'd do it in a heartbeat. With my book.
Now, it's an honest mistake, Daisy.
No, I really mean it. I actually thought you were... And then...
It's fine now. It probably happens quite a lot to a few people who look suspicious to you. Seems I'm one of them now. But don't lose sleep over it.
God.
Do be careful with that book, though. A little more and you would have dislodged my poor brain off my head. What would I ever do if that happens?
I doubt you would have noticed any change.
Oh no! Did it leave a mark or anything? If you want, we can have it checked. I'll handle the expenses if there's a need for it.
Now, what kind of man would I be if I let an attractive woman such as yourself do that? Why don't we just look at it this way? My forgiveness is coming from the utter goodness of my heart.
I don't believe you for a second. So full of himself. Exactly the kind of person I'll happily leave to die in a ditch somewhere. So I'm gonna smooch him a couple of times. Couple times from now. Getting you two together. Oh, what a journey that'll be.
Of course, sir. Why didn't I think of it that way?
I do like their play off of each other, though, I must admit.
I know, right? But even someone as capable as you is bound to have a few lapses. No harm done, Daisy. Let's move on from this.
Well, if you're going to put it like that, then I guess there's nothing left for us to talk about.
I figured as much.
Awkward. The whole exchange is nothing but an awkward display of fake pleasantries. One that brings much agony to the very pride I've willingly held back a while ago. I might need a drink later so I can forget any of this ever happened. Who would have thought the time would come when I'd meet someone tougher to handle than Isabella? You put Isabella handling in the same league as Luke Wright? Becca. Miracles of miracles, I swear. Though to my surprise, he proffers me a hand shortly before they leave. For a shake, I realize, after a long minute of staring at it. He wants you to kiss his ring. I accept it, albeit half-heartedly. But all of the goodwill that small gesture represents melts into thin air when he winks at me. Oh man, oh no. Winks! The gall of this man! However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Do that another time. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I've paid. He offers me another smile before I leave. Normally, I return it simply for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the time being, I do so freely. After that encounter and the scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, he probably enjoyed seeing him get hit with the book. It feels like a reassurance despite bearing no promise of better days. I take what little I can of it with me as I step out into the night. Actually, we should read this first, I guess. Let's see. Tell me about it. Oh my goodness, she hit him from behind. While lining up to buy dinner, Rebecca saw Kylie Suarez with a suspicious man. Assuming it was a kidnapping, Rebecca elected to take the matters in her own hands, only to find out that the man was the girl's godfather, Luke Wright. An embarrassed Rebecca apologized afterwards. Good job, girl. A cloudless night sky greets me when I walk out of the cafe. Beyond the tall buildings, a blanket of stars spreads out before me. Isabella once told me that the best place to view it is someplace outside the city, away from the noise and the obtrusive lights. She'd seen it once in her mum's hometown and another time in the university she used to attend. Then she asked if it's possible to try it out here sometime. I agreed with her at the time, if only because she appeared excited at the mere prospect of it. We made those little plans along with Zachary and Ashton. Though up until now, we never got around it. Even so, I find myself enjoying this, despite being told it's only half the experience. Little things, you know? Stuff you learn to appreciate when you're alone. Because at certain times, you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with the innate talent to ruin the mood and the scene with their mere existence alone. For example, the very driver of the car fast approaching my direction. Luckily, he doesn't notice me. Is it Luke? But the fleeting moment we pass each other by gives me a brief glance at the people he's with. Oh. She's in the car with them? Kylie's sitting on the back seat with a serving of bread pudding in her hands. Where did you find that? And beside him, it must be his wife. Only she's not smiling at me as she goes. I was waiting for her to turn her face and be like, ah. He takes a turn and disappears at the nearest corner. But throughout the night, that cursory glimpse of all things to bother me has left me wondering what kind of person his wife is. And more than that is a silent prayer to the universe. I hope I don't ever cross paths with that douche again. After having such an eventful day, anyone will think nothing will surprise me anymore. But here I am, standing at the top of the stairwell, watching an odd scene unfold before me. Relief crosses my mind first, followed by confusion.
What is she doing there?
Although, given what happened this morning, the question feels a bit inappropriate to ask directly. Oh, that face. What's important is Isabella's here. She's sitting cross-legged on the hallway, just right in front of her room, with several papers and folders scattered about. Each of them seems as important as the next. Are you scared to be in your room? I guess it's you do have an easier way to get, like, run away if a ghost shows up. More than once, upon giving the scene a quick scan, I spot Briar Realty's logo at the topmost area of the pages. Everything considered, it looks like a mess made by a third grader working on crunch time. The landlady will have a few things to say about this when she finds out. I have a few things to say about this myself, in fact. But something in the calm, focused manner she holds herself at present keeps me from disturbing her with that reminder. She's going through each paper with this intensity. Her brows are furrowed, lips in a tight line, both hands moving in precise movements as she shifts through each sheet. When she finds something of note, she moves closer, nose almost touching whatever paper she's holding, and grabs her phone to call someone.
Hello. Sorry to call you this late. There's something I just want to confirm, if that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Thanks anyway. Not that one either.
It's a cycle. She goes through call after call, then after the last one ends, she shuffles through the pile again and dials another number. How long are we standing here with our food getting cold? Is it work? I've never seen her this engrossed with her own work before. Otherwise, she would have noticed my presence the moment I've reached our floor. After the 9th call, she still appears as oblivious to it as when I've arrived. You watched her make 9 phone calls. Wow. When she lets out a loud sigh this time, I immediately take that as an opportunity to interrupt.
Isabella, you know the house rules here.
At once, her head jerks back and hits the concrete wall behind her with a thump. There's the Isabella I know. Glad it's still there. You just scared a girl who was chased by a demon lady. I allow her a moment to nurse it before speaking again.
Becca, you're late.
Yeah, I ran into a little trouble at the cafe. But I brought food for the two of us, if you haven't eaten anything yet.
As anticipated, she grins once I raise the bag of food I'm holding. Yet, it doesn't reach her eyes. There's nothing of the cheerful glint in it this time. Just a hollow tone for the sake of being polite. Ashton's right. Something's happened.
Yeah, maybe later. I've got to finish this first. Just leave it here. I'll eat it once I'm done. Thanks, Becca.
You can't eat this here. You know how the landlady would react. Why are you even working outside? Your room's right there.
I know. Sorry. It just feels stuffy in my apartment right now. I'll go back inside once everything's been aired out. I promise.
That has never bothered you before.
Well, it bothers me now.
Oh, really? Just now? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah? Shouldn't you be happy? I mean, you've been complaining even if it's not your room. Now I know how you're feeling when it's messy, so I'm going to clean. Isn't that a good thing?
In spite of what's supposed to be a good news, an exhale comes from me, drawn out and slow.
It's a good thing, Isabella. Believe me. But you're as bad as Zachary at lying. What's really going on?
She hastily averts her eyes. A surefire indicator this is going to be one of those lengthy conversations that can possibly end with the other person angry. Again. It's one thing I'd like to avoid tonight at all costs. Still, I've made a promise to Ashton and Zachary. If she didn't talk to them, who else is she going to talk to? If she keeps this all to herself, who knows what might happen?
Isabella, you can tell me. Is it about your family?
A slight movement of her lips. Although a frown, it's a reaction at least. I'm getting there.
Rose?
She merely shakes her head. Just a little more.
Come on, I know something happened. I don't know if it's because of Rose, but I know it's related to her somehow. You weren't here when I visited this morning, and both Zachary and Ashton are worried about you. If you don't want to tell them, you can tell me. Does it have something to do with work? Office?
If I didn't know her, I might have missed it. The office. She shifts then, her fists clenching tight and teeth biting her lower lip, and there's fear. The look of terror in her is the last thing I expected to see out of everything. Her mouth trembles briefly before she opens them. Her mouth? Her multiple mouths? When she finally voices it out, the words simply spill out of her mouth. one after another. All of it. True to what I've promised her, I listen. Because this is something she's been keeping to herself, even from the two most dependable people I know. The fact she chooses to tell me this speaks a lot to me.
Becca, she was there again. Last night? In the office? Boss passed me all of Rose's Lurk load yesterday. For the Ermengarde mansion. I had to stay late to finish them all. And then... when I was about to go home, I saw her. I saw her again. She was standing in front of me again last night, Becca. I couldn't get away. She was blocking the door. If I hadn't hidden myself, even if I made the tiniest noise, if she found me, Becca, she almost did. If she saw me under my table, I think that would have been the end of it. I'm scared. I'm so scared I won't be able to do anything.
Aw, poor Bella. By the end, her hands are trembling and her breathing comes out in rasping intervals. For a long moment, I let the silence stretch out between us, let her sobs fill it instead. But even as her soft whimpers die down minutes later, there's a heaviness hanging in the air. Not just from her, but also from me. From my exasperation over this whole matter. From my own frustrations over her stupid superstitions when she could do us all a favor and grow a backbone. Oh no. I mean, I get it. I do get it, but oh. Your friend bears her fears to you and you're just like, could you just get over it? She may be young, but she's no longer that young. It's about time to put an end to this. She can't keep going on like this. She's still got plenty of years to live out. And what if she goes home? What if we're no longer there to keep her fears in line with what's real? What would she do then? I'm more afraid for her, for what that kind of imagination will do to her than of what some imaginary monster could. But with the manner she's looking at me right now, there's an expectation in it, a hope and a plea sewn together. She wants me to believe her this time. If it's like that, then what am I supposed to say now? What she wants to hear or what she needs to? It's real, Miss Flu. It's real. Nice. Good grief. As much as I want to set her straight, a reprimand isn't what she needs right now. With that pouty face she's giving me, I doubt it'll even end well if I push it. I know her. When she wants to be stubborn, she's stubborn. But there are moments when she can be acquiescing, too. Times when she'll be more accepting of what I tell her, despite her inclination to disagree with it. That talk can wait. That's true, too. I mean, in reality, when she's so terrified and scared out of her mind, being like, it's all in your head, doesn't help. In the meantime, I'll be the heir that listens to her without judging her, without criticizing her, despite my own opinions on it.
You should have called me.
She stares at me like I've grown another head, and a laughter slips out before I can stop myself.
There? I can't do that! What will you do? Hit her with a book? You'll be dead before that happens. And...
Look, this book is really thick. I just tested it out tonight. It works great.
That isn't what I'm talking about. After you got out, you should have phoned me.
Nice.
You didn't have to go to Zachary's.
The corners of her mouth curl up. A sheepish smile by general definition, but this is Isabella. Her smiles are never half-hearted, never lacks her high spirits. In spite of this, I know everything's going to be okay. Somehow. After all, she's learned how to pick herself up long ago, long before we met.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I don't even remember how I ended up in Zach's place. I was in a hurry to get out of the office, and it was already late. Besides, I don't really think you'll believe me if I wake you up over something like that.
That's beside the point. True or not, there are people who will always be concerned about you. There's Zachary, but he's the first person you went to, and you didn't tell him anything. You just slept there. There's Ashton too, and me. But how do you think I'll be able to explain to your aunt or your family if you suddenly disappeared? think about that.
Right. I'll remember that next time.
Then she grins. Playful and mischievous, a preamble to an old banter. It's still not quite there, still not quite her usual self, but with it I know we're bound to get her back soon.
Mom.
I told you not to call me that.
Meh. Aw, a wholesome moment between you two, it's nice to see. I send an elbow to her side for added measure, but when laughter follows the familiar gesture, none of it is unexpected. This is what's comfortable. This is how we found an equal ground despite our stark differences. So for the moment I accept things as they are. Afterwards, a hush stretches out before us. For Isabella, this is rare. This isn't her. Yet in this moment, as she fiddles with the edge of another paper near her, as she hugs her knees close to herself and lets a pensive expression linger on her, it feels strangely fitting. As if this is where everything's supposed to lead to if we allowed it long ago. Seconds later, the moment is broken by the sound of a door easing open and a voice begging some little peace.
How many times have I told you girls not to loiter around the hallway? It's noisy. Some people here are trying to sleep.
Whoops.
Quiet down or go do your talking inside. I'm pinning a memo to your door the next time this happens. Millennials.
Good grief.
Sorry. We won't do it again.
You'd better.
The door closes and Isabella starts gathering the mess she's made, carefully stacking them all in her arm. At a loss for what to do, I help her pick them, and for the first time I get a closer look at it. Completely unintentional, of course. But it catches my attention nevertheless, and a confused frown makes its way to my face. Why is she looking through this? I look to her for an explanation, but she merely ignores the question in my eyes, takes the paper off my hands, and finishes cleaning up. The last paper she puts on top is a letter. The one she supposedly found in the mansion, and what's probably the root cause of this odd behavior. I shoot her a questioning look for that too, but all she gives me is a smile. She wants to make sure she has facts before she comes and explains what her thought process is. And in a halting tone, so completely unlike her.
Becca, I'll find a way out of this. You guys don't have to worry about me. Anyways, I should go. I'll see you later.
But the food!
Where are you going?
Getting myself some food. Don't wait for me.
Isabella walks away before I can stop her, before I can remind her I've brought food enough for the two of us. She quickly disappears down the stairwell while I'm left standing in an empty hallway holding 2 bags of takeout. One of them will go uneaten tonight. Just an innocent passing thought. One that I don't dwell much on as I head back to my room. Let's see. A lot of stuff happened today. Rebecca found Isabella going through several papers outside their apartment. When the former asked why she didn't come home the other night, the latter confessed that she saw the ghosts once again. Before leaving, Isabella assured her friend that she'd find a way out of this mess. I ignore all of it, in the same way I've assumed I won't ever encounter that douche again. It's a new day. Thursday. What date did we just read? Okay, so we skipped Wednesday. What happened Wednesday? Okay, Zachary went and took pictures. A lot of work was being done. Okay. The brief lull the past 2 days has offered is nice while it lasted. Or as nice as it can get with worries of Isabella's whereabouts creeping up to me every now and then. She hasn't showed up after that last talk we had in the hallway, and the dinner I've bought had since been given to a different neighbor before it spoils. Hey, where did she go? Okay, this is all about Hannah and Zach and Mary Ann. We don't know anything about what Isabella did on Wednesday. And then Thursday... Nothing about her there either. Huh. By all means, there shouldn't be anything to lose sleep over. She's gone on work trips before, usually for a day or 2. This might simply be one of those. Although it's often with a message saying exactly where. but it's the dour note she has ended our last chat with that gnaws.
Like an ugly premonition.
And as expected, just as things start to settle and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back to my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. With little ceremony, though still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Luxbourne is a small city, relatively speaking. Oh no, did Luke come to school? Compared to, say, London or Glasgow? It's nothing but a tiny mass of land, boasting a mere population of 68,000. But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing in a busy street. And if you pay close enough attention, faces taking the crosswalk or riding the subway will soon grow familiar. How unfortunate that out of that number, it has to be Tio fucking Luke I encounter more than once.
Oh, you know, a few problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow.
I like that he's still a sleazy douche, even though we know who he is.
Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course. I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble, but darling wife insisted. Who am I to say no?
Barf.
Ah, are you kidding me?
His smug head is the first thing I see upon turning into the hall, in spite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered at the corridor for the primary's career day. It's not that he stands out. He's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. However, it's his countenance that draws people's eyes to him. The manner he carries himself with all the confidence in the world, his mere presence dwarfing everything around him. I'm willing to make a bet he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones coming from the women.
What an ass.
A single glance at him, and I know immediately that, one way or another, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. He also exudes that air. The sort that makes you want to run him over with a lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident. Man, she really... she has some strong feelings about this guy. She's only, run into him once, officially. With him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's no in between. Hopefully we err more on the side of punching than being charmed this time. I'll gladly do the honor of the former myself, but alas, there are people around us. Now I'm stuck with having to face one of the two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
At the time, helping out sounded a good idea. I've no classes left today until after lunch. I could have opted to stay at the teacher's lounge and work on my lesson plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head and his chatter. He's a good man, but crevens, he can talk anyone's ears off. So the moment an opportunity rose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boot. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the event, maybe stay around to assist if time will allow it. I just wasn't expecting him to show up here. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through our deputy's impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead. But what's done is done. Going back is also out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy the load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for a trip back just because my pride can't take another second of interaction with the guy. He's insufferable, all right, but I've had my fair share of dealings with teens of more or less the same temperament, all considerably younger than him, and they listened. If he wants to be difficult like last time, so be it, but he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not standing down. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in a breath, mustering every bit of patience I have as I step into the hall. Or courage. My grip on the box tightens when I pull it closer to me, an attempt to assume a low-key air as I amble towards the room. The box is not big enough to hide my face, even with the stuff piled on top, but if all else fails, I can just hit him with it. Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even one listening out there, please grant me enough restraint. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That'll definitely make my life easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door, and there are plenty of people between us to use for cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in, hand in the stupid box to whoever's in charge, forget every plan of staying longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. Easy as pie. But as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the room's threshold, someone, barrels towards me. Hi, Kylie. She latches onto my waist before topping the sudden commotion with a gleeful squeal.
I knew it's you!
The force of it nearly throws me off balance, sending the items stacked atop the box tilting dangerously to the sides. With the child's added weight at my waist pinning me on the spot and both of my hands occupied, watching is the only thing I'm able to do. The short seconds in between slows as everything gradually slides off the box's small surface. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story some other time. Comical, even. Until another set of hands reaches out and steadies the posters, threatening to take a nosedive right to the floor.
Oh, careful now, Daisy. Don't make a mess here.
As if we have to ask who's saying that. My entire body freezes. Upon hearing his voice alone, an irrational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. But before my limbs could catch up with what my brain is currently screaming at me, he moves to take the burden off my arms. Well, how chivalrous. Irritation gives way to surprise. Then confusion. It is in that moment when instinct finally kicks in and I tug the box closer to me before he can fully lift it off.
What are you doing?
What does it look like? You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you? Bloody, doesn't this school have people for this kind of work? Ugh, so much for being a center of academic excellence.
Is that kind of a backhanded compliment? Like, she's high enough ranked that there should be, like, little people doing this and she's not one of the little people? Kind of a backhanded compliment.
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand? Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help. Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
Stop it, you two.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy? Having a bad day, aren't we?
Oh, you have no idea.
I'd put it away if I were you. You might scare the children.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact. Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Keeping my voice level throughout is a miracle in itself, but regardless of how polite my request is, he doesn't budge. Did what I've just said merely fly over his head? Were my choice of words really that difficult to comprehend? Surely it shouldn't be that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. Well, you did hit him with a book. I'd like to ask him that, actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Tio's strong. You can leave this to him. My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone.
What? You're not allowed to talk about your papa being strong enough to lift heavy loads? What heavy loads is your papa lifting?
Tio says it's
Confidential, Munchkin.
That's right. Tio's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
Yes. I'm still of the opinion that he's a piece of shite, but I must admit, his goddaughter's excitement is contagious as always. A smile makes its way to my lips. She has yet to budge from her place, though to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling on my stomach with how tightly she's wound her arms around it.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Like helping you out.
Aw.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but
You heard the kid.
no one's asking you.
Oh, you wound me, woman.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that. Shall we give it a try? Again?
Oh. He pales, stammers for a bit, until he ultimately decides against saying anything and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. He's probably having flashbacks of the last time we met. His composure, when he finally regains some of his bearings, says it all. It's nothing short of hilarious, if I do say so myself.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy. Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat. How cute.
That too. I'm not scared of you. Just because you landed a hit.
Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear? I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent. If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburg police after you, woman.
Now who's threatening?
You don't say.
Just give me that bloody box.
He snatches it out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth and quickly disappears behind the classroom. Not that it matters who brings it in now. My prior irritation has already melted into amusement. He's not so bad once you figure out how his temperament works. It's almost similar to a child. Oh no, she's gone. She's gone, we lost her. Though I still have to ask.
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here?
That's a creative way to ask.
He's unusually nice today.
Mm-hmm. A far-fetched idea, I know. But it's the only reason I can think of why this arsehole is suddenly acting like a decent human he's, quite frankly, far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. If I were him, I'd avoid the very person who put a dent on his skull, as he so aptly put it. Why is he acting friendly 2 days later?
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you, since you helped me so much. I think you're gonna be great friends.
Uh-oh. Kylie ships it. I quickly stomp on the urge to groan loudly or gag at that. He is the last person I'd ever want to be chummy with in this whole city, but Kylie doesn't need to know that.
Are you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning.
The special kind?
Really brought me lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tio when he picked me up. He likes the black ones.
Oh, that's probably why he's weird. Jelly baby overdose.
Ugh, the black ones, gross. He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them while he's at it.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takanko this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
I guess the ghost got them.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
An unexpected pang hits me at her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths a whole trunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. Nights spent eating dinners alone, the numbers of days coming home to an empty house growing with each passing year. And sometimes several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still there. Familiar, though lessened by the years now. Beside me, Kylie takes a step back, having gotten tired of clinging to me. There is nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by the fact. Although it makes me wonder how much of it is real and how much is there to mask the loneliness, if there's even one. What a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave. I've been a good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are. But they asked that they asked your Tio to look after you? For this?
Nope, they didn't.
No? Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she's sick and had to visit the doctor today.
What was going on with Hana? Didn't see anything Thursday. When does... Oh, that's like way later. Okay. Well, she is preggy.
Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's a bit confusing because Tio said she also went shopping. That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick. It's still okay, though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home. I'm gonna ask for a parfait today. Extra large. Don't Delta Kako, okay?
Listening to her like this, it's easy to get a picture of where Kylie's fondness for the guy comes from. She's far from a demanding child, unless you've made a promise of some sort. She never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone wherever she is. Buy her a few things, and voila, you're settled. No wonder she's so attached to the man. The douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. I can't say the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type, and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. Classic techniques.
But before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first. It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather.
It's true.
Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him and marry someone really handsome.
Big dreams.
Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. But before I can say my piece, douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtlety a wrecking ball has. No shite given, despite no one asking for his opinion.
Munchkin, sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
Aw, but he's here for, with some sincere good advice.
I don't.
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
Tia married you.
Got him. Kylie drops the statement without any sort of preface, and the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true, Munchkin, technically. But it's not the same thing.
A small frown creases the girl's eyebrows as she tries to comprehend her Tio's rather vague explanation. It's not surprising, either, when Luke tenses under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. I've seen the same look a great deal of times before. On Ashton, whenever he's trying to say something he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either side of her shoulder. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe the man, but in this minute, there's a smile on his face I can't place. Tender, by all means, for someone as obnoxious as him. It's a curious thing to see, if not a bit odd.
Listen here, sweetie. Tia was already a great person before she met me.
Aww.
She is? But I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
Spittin' facts.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Whoa.
Well, Tia's much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
Oh, like millions?
No. Gazillions. And
Aww.
she's really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it. That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh, leagues, Munchkin.
Aww.
Way better than I'll ever be.
This is so sweet. For some reason, I don't think he's still talking about his wife's mathematical prowess as his voice trails off. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have noticed a change in him. The slight shift in his smile, from one that's tender to something wistful, like remembering a memory he has always been fond of but has often kept to himself. And at the fleeting glance of it, a tiny, insignificant part of the world somehow also shifts. Opinions changing, impressions moving.
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia next time you have homework,
Okay, next time I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. And Papa. He computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another silence from him. Then without missing a beat, he turns Kylie around and lightly pats her shoulder in a gesture to end their conversation right here and there. Probably before he can say other things he's never intended to say, or a child is not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
All right. But wait for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you. They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back.
Oh, so wholesome. She soon disappears behind the small crowd, none the wiser to the sudden change in mood around her. Luke straightens as soon as she's gone. The expression on his face grows less kind now that there's no one to reassure. Despite that, a chuckle still escapes me. His head quickly snaps at me, an accusing glare clear in his eyes. Although, it's less threatening now considering what I've witnessed earlier. Funny how one person's impression of someone can easily change with that minute detail, rather.
Why are you laughing like that?
Don't mind me. I just saw something surprising today. Don't let it bother you.
Putting it like that won't make me any less inclined to ask. What is it, woman? If this is another one of your threats, I've already told you it isn't going to work on me.
I just realized the opinion shift did happen. She now addresses him as Luke in her brain. He's no longer sleaze.
That good teacher act isn't going to fool anyone.
What makes you think it has to do with you? I could have just remembered something funny. Not everything in this world revolves around you, mister.
I am not daft, Daisy. It's on your face for all the world to see. Now, say it so we can be done with this stupid talk.
I let out another laugh. More to delay than to express any sort of amusement over the matter. In truth, I don't know where to start. One wrong move, one wrong word, and I might offend the man. He's childish enough for that, even if what I'm about to say are just mere honest observations. I mean, saying you really think that is like questioning everything he just said to Kylie. It felt very sincere to me. So I think just say he's good at, that was very good of him. He handled that very well. Whoa. We've surpassed Ash in our affections. Oh no. Trouble. Ah, well. Regardless of how he reacts, it's not like it'll have an impact on anything between us. I've no plans of getting too friendly with the man, though he might have some good points. Emphasis on might. The best treatment I can hope myself to give him is to stop thinking of him as a sleazy douche. Besides, after seeing that look on him, I figure someone like him can use a little compliment here and there. He probably doesn't get it much, considering how coarse his own language can get.
Can't you act a wee bit polite for even a second of your life? It won't kill you. You'll easily get answers that way, you know? Instead of demanding things from people like a temperamental man-child.
I'll be nice when I want to be, woman. Don't tell me what to do.
Don't tell me what to do.
And here I was just thinking how you're doing a brilliant job as Kylie's guardian. Was I mistaken?
Was I mistaken?
Dang.
What? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
You guys.
Stop playing dumb. I hate to admit it, but you actually seem to be good with kids. Possibly even better than most of the teachers here. What do you know?
I've expected him to just take it all in, bloat his ego more, and even brag about it. Instead, what I get from him is a sound resembling a squawk. I can't wait. Or maybe that's him choking on his own pride? I can't tell above the hubbub surrounding us. But when I glance at him, only a mortified expression is on his face.
No.
What?
No? You should be proud of yourself. At least there's this one good thing about you. Isn't that nice to hear? Pretty sure not a lot of compliments get thrown around about you, knowing how you are.
There are a lot of good things about me, Daisy. My hair, for one. There's also my extraordinary good looks. Wax lyrical about those all you want. I'd be happy to hear it any day.
I mean, he's got a point.
Praise anything about me, but that.
What is so repulsive about it? Even Kylie likes you. Shouldn't that tell you anything about yourself?
Kylie is one kid, not even my own. Trust me, you do not want to see me bring a spawn of my own into this world. This will be an abomination.
About that.
Is that what you keep telling yourself?
Maybe. Is it any of your business?
No. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is because you yourself think you're a little piece of shite and somehow it'll pass on.
Oof.
It doesn't work like that, by the way.
That last remark just came out. There might be a sliver of truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even for my own standards or the kind of person I'm talking to, it's still quite rude. An apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of what I've prepared myself to say dissipates. Lost in the moment in front of me. He's so sad now. He has turned gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings, blocking the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air. Softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. I might as well be looking at a different man. There's a tender note in his voice when he finds it, the words muttered under his breath not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
All that talk about self-worth makes some sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulled out of his arse. It has come about because he's already been there, likely still stuck in the middle of it. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier, after all. Less room for mistakes, more for a dose of self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you thought you've already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge, far harder to understand. Yet it might be exactly for this reason why some are so easily charmed by him. It's the mystery that catches them, of wanting to find out what lies underneath that bravado. I won't count myself among those yet. His winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. But sometimes, once you get a glimpse of what's beyond that machismo, empathizing with the man isn't such a steep hill to climb. If the comfortable silence we now share tells anything, that is. Perhaps this is as close to friendship as we can get. Several insults flung around with a few shared silences in between, and that's not exactly a bad thing. He's not exactly a bad guy either, despite the awkward start we've had. Maybe it's for this reason that I can't resist throwing in a little comment to lift his mood before leaving him.
You know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
I'm glad.
Take it how you will, but a little attitude change would help. A lot.
Oh, bollocks. Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No, but I did see her with you two last time.
What? His indifferent expression quickly dissolves into a confused scowl while I meet it with matching perplexity. It has only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe, after you left. She was sitting right beside you. Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book? Because that damn thing's quite big, and I'm really getting worried about you. It has only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke exhales, long and drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing the companionable air around us. In the face of it, I tense. I've accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me escapes me, but above my worries of offending the man is my own bewilderment. I remember well enough what I saw that night, yet he says something completely different.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us. How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
Right?
But in the front seat. And Kylie's...
Miss Pink!
Oh no, what happened? Kylie's sobs reach my ears first, and then her familiar weight returns around my waist again. Hot tears seep through my blouse as she buries her face in it, her arms winding tightly around me. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract much attention. Most of the visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now anyway. Those that still linger, though, watches our little group with great interest and concern. If I don't get a better handle of the situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everyone soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away tears, creating little trails on her cheeks. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie. Calm down. What happened?
It's my friend.
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke.
Right?
Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one?
Takako, right?
Yeah.
Did the two of you fight?
She nods, then immediately clams up after, letting her sobs communicate the story instead, or as much as her shaking shoulders can tell me. Right behind me, Luke gives a nervous huff while he shifts on his feet. He must not be used to handling children crying. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. The tears are already gone when she finally musters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding to mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out.
Of the locker?
Where? Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Is she still there?
Another nod.
She won't say what's wrong. I kept asking her, but she told me to go away. Career Day's going to start soon. I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us if we're good. She's gonna miss it.
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She won't even take the jelly babies. After I saved it for her, too. Tio Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told him it's not for him. Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Ah. Just a little childish argument, then. Times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. I do love being around children and won't mind having one or two of my own in the future, but it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who willingly took the challenge. Normally, I'll leave this for their homeroom teachers to fix, but I can't just ignore the imploring look she shoots me. That's another weakness I'll have to steel myself against before I ever think of having one of my own. For now, I give in to it.
Okay. Tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand up and gesture for her to lead the way. Luke trails quietly behind us. Luke was seen attending Career Day at St. Goretti High School for his goddaughter, where he met Rebecca again. Minutes later, a sobbing Kylie interrupted their conversation to report a friend crying in the little girl's room. Even with the small distance in between, his apprehension is palpable, understandably so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a children's spat. But in the end, this is all just a part of my job. I can't just shy away from it, can I?